Hands please, mate. This moment in time, Mark, you're under arrest on suspicion of murder. Just tell you that you don't have to say anything but may on your defence if you don't mention when questions official letter line in court.
This is the Scarcity Studios YouTube channel. Please don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. And this video is sponsored by Cannabis London, the London clothing brand taking over the industry. Join the family today and follow on social media. I really appreciate you joining me for this episode, and we've got plenty of news to get through this week. This first story is about a murder of a delivery driver called Claudiu-Carol Kondor that occurred in Leeds last year. A man has just been given a life sentence with a minimum term of 30 years. Mark Ross, 32 years old, was found guilty by a majority verdict on Wednesday for the murder of a 42-year-old delivery driver called Claudio. He was fatally injured in Farnley on August the 20th, 2024. Ross had stolen his van while he was making deliveries in the Alliance Street area of Armley and deliberately crashed it into parked cars, causing catastrophic damage after he clung onto the passenger side of the door as Ross sped off. Claudio's death was the subject of a murder investigation by detectives from West Yorkshire Police Homicide Unit. Over the course of the investigation, detectives viewed 110 hours of CCTV and 368 exhibits and took 113 statements. In a victim impact statement by Claudio's fiancée, Mariana, she said, "I don't know how I'm going to live without him. Everything seems so difficult to me. I'm still shocked by everything that has happened and I miss him very much." And the police released statements and also some video footage of how they actually solved this investigation, which I'll play now.
Ross saw his opportunity and jumped into the driver's seat. But Claudio spotted him and tried to intervene as Ross sped off onto Wingate Road. Claudio was a decent, hard-working man, and he was determined not to let this thief take his livelihood. For half a mile, he clung desperately to the open passenger door whilst Ross swerved at speed. Shocked witnesses heard Claudio shouting for help, clearly in fear for his life. The van initially struck a parked car further up Heights Drive before reaching this point, where it collided again with another vehicle, this time throwing Claudio off and leaving him fatally injured. That was a deliberate act by Ross, an attempt to knock Claudio off and escape regardless of the consequences. Without any thought for the harm he caused, Ross arranged for the van to be taken to Broom Nook in Belle Isle to be stripped of its parcels before it was abandoned here in Highlands Walk. It was later found by officers following the onboard tracker, and detectives from the Homicide and Major Enquiry team carried out extensive house-to-house in the area. They found a witness to the abandoning of the vehicle. That, combined with the CCTV, took us to Mark Ross as a suspect.
Mark, hands please, mate. This moment in time, Mark, you're under arrest on suspicion of murder. Just tell you that you don't have to say anything but may on your defence if you don't mention when questions official letter line in court.
So I want to send my condolences to the family of Claudio and also his fiancée as well, and just the risk that was taken for this small amount of goods that he made and a little bit of money that he made in the short space of time before he was arrested, and now he's going to spend 30 years of his life behind bars. Staying in Yorkshire for some other news, 8 men who were involved in a plot to supply £1 million worth of illegal drugs have been jailed at Leeds Crown Court. Video footage by the police shows them throwing drugs from a car during the stop, and the charges relate to events that took place between January and April of 2024, and they involved Adam O'Connor, who was described as a courier for the plot organiser Sanchez Hefferman. On the 30th of January, police spotted the drug deal taking place between O'Connor and Mohammed Ali on Essex Street in Halifax. Ali was seen collecting bin liners and a bag for life from the boot of O'Connor's car. He was later stopped on the M62, where police found 5 kilos of cocaine and 20 kilos of ketamine, with an estimated street value of 700 grand in the boot. In June 2024, Mohammed Saif Ali was also arrested for his involvement in the conspiracy. On the 17th of April, police spotted O'Connor taking part in another drug deal with a man called Aman Pataka, and this was in Bradford, and Pataka was seen then meeting Nathaniel Fulton on Bradford's Hillcrest Drive. Both Pantiker and Fulton were arrested, and police found a carrier bag containing an estimated 40 grand in MDMA in the footwell of a car. 5 days later, on the 22nd of April, police saw O'Connor collecting a bag from Sanchez Hefferman in the Bradford area. O'Connor then travelled to Parkinson Lane in Halifax, where he met Albanian nationals Endreka and Basiti. He handed a bag over that had nearly 58 grand in cash, and O'Connor received a bag from Endreka containing 2 kilos of coke with an estimated street value of £200,000. The Albanians were later arrested on the M62 travelling towards Liverpool, and Endreka was stopped on the southbound M1 after a pursuit in West Yorkshire, and he reached speeds of over 100 miles an hour during the chase, and he threw cocaine from the vehicle to get rid of evidence. When he was eventually stopped, he was arrested and found with his mobile phone, and Endreka tried to attempt to destroy it. The phone contained a series of messages in which Sanchez and Hefferman had arranged to buy kilo drugs from Endreka. O'Connor was arrested on the 23rd of April, and half a kilo was seized from his vehicle. Hefferman was jailed for 23 years. Hefferman's sentence relates to cocaine supplying and arranging and facilitating the travel and exploitation of another person. O'Connor from Halifax was described as Hefferman's courier, and he pled guilty to 3 counts of conspiracy to supply drugs, and he was jailed for 10 years. Mohammed Saif Ali from Bradford was jailed for 8 years. Pantiker, who appeared in court for Class A drugs, possession of criminal property and failure to appear at court, was jailed for 6 years and 9 months. Fulton from Bingley was found guilty of conspiracy to supply Class A drugs and a Rolex watch that was found that he said was loaned to him. He was jailed for 9 years and 6 months. Endreka from Sheffield admitted conspiracy to supply Class A drugs and was jailed for 8 years and 8 months. And Batisia of No Fixed Abode was jailed for supplying Class A drugs and criminal property for 6 years and 6 months. And Mohammed Jamil Ali was jailed for 5 years at an earlier hearing. Staying in the West Yorkshire area, police have been taking part in a national campaign to try to prevent the amount of cannabis factories that are popping up all over the country. They said this week they have seized 1.6 million across the counties in Yorkshire, and 1,500 cannabis plants were seized as well. 9 warrants were carried out in Leeds, some in Kirkley, and 4 warrants in Bradford, Calderdale and Wakefield as part of Operation Millie. A total of 500 plants was found at an address in Halifax, and more than 100 plants were seized from 6 different addresses. Police also took a BMW car and £3,000 in cash from an address in Leeds. Detective Superintendent Steve Greenbank, who is the head of intelligence at West Yorkshire Police, says they are pleased to have been able to find such a large amount of cannabis and take it out of circulation and deprive the organised crime gangs of the source of income. By targeting the commercial growing of cannabis across West Yorkshire, we've been able to disrupt the activities of cannabis growing and also the trade and the profits that are made. Organised crime groups are connected, they said, through violence, exploitation and antisocial behaviour, and commercial grows also have significant damage to properties that are taken on by landlords, and sharing information the police says will help with the operation. Detective Superintendent Fiona Gaffney said police have conducted 58 warrants throughout Yorkshire and Humber regions, and in a coordinated effort to target commercial cannabis production and also crime networks that profit from it. By focusing on this source of income for the organised crime groups, we are trying to disrupt them and also take away their sources of income. So I really want to hear what viewers have to say on that subject. And do you think that it's worth raiding these cannabis factories? Or are you somebody that believes that legalisation is the way forward for the UK, especially in these times of need where the economy is really bad and we could do with some of the taxation that could come from legalising cannabis? So really appreciate you joining me for these updates from Yorkshire, and we've got some Midlands and also London news coming up shortly. Please don't forget to follow on social media as well as Scarcity Studios. I'll be back again shortly. Peace.